Labour, of course, enjoying a very healthy poll lead at the moment ahead of a potential general election next year or the year after. And, of course, Sue Gray so associated with the downfall of the Conservative Boris Johnson. Do you anticipate that this episode is going to have any damage on Keir Starmer going forward and with his chances of potentially winning a general election?
Well, I think, that is very much the hope of the Conservative Party. I think the reality is, as we've seen since, Boris Johnson's government was elected in December 2019, that, actually the vast majority of scandals have been government related and related to the Conservative Party. Now, that's not unusual of the government, but I think the number of scandals that have been in question over the issues of conduct and ethics and propriety have been quite high. So clearly the Conservative Party are quite happy to see some kind of issue related to the Labour Party, which they are trying to sort of extract for political capital. I think it is a little bit worrying that there were leaks over the weekend that supposedly said that the investigation was going to conclude that Sue Gray fell foul of civil service rules. Of course, the Conservative Party is going to try to capitalise on any kind of Labour Party scandal. But the reality is, when you are in government, you have an absolute duty to ensure that you're not exploiting being in government and having access to government to use in a way which would give you sort of an unfair advantage to try to, hurt the opposition. I think really that's what we've seen over the past week or so. I think, in terms of whether it has an impact over the next election, I would think it's quite unlikely, to be honest. I think, the election is still probably at least a year away. And I think that actually voters often forget about issues like this, particularly when they are quite far away. I think the fact that Keir Starmer has such a healthy poll lead over the Conservatives gives him quite a bit of room, really, to ensure that actually he does maintain a lead. But I think also there is an issue that, as I mentioned, the Conservative Party has been so embroiled in scandal, say particularly during the Boris Johnson years, that really the idea that you can kind of draw some kind of equivalence between the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, I think is really not one that it will particularly be effective for the Conservative Party. So I don't anticipate this will have a major election-defining impact.
Adam, you mentioned about the local elections that are taking place. Just give us your assessment on what we're expecting to happen this week and how that has kind of ramifications for the wider picture.
Well, I think it's, really important sort of litmus test for Rishi Sunak's government. It's really his first major electoral test he's faced as leader of the Conservative Party. And of course, he has tried to sort of renew the image of the Conservative Party since he came into office in October 2022. So I think, really this is something that a lot of people are going to be looking at in terms of whether he really has the confidence of the British people to lead the Conservative Party into a record election win next year. But I think, really what we're seeing from the Labour Party is them trying to sort of play down expectations that there will be a huge crushing of the Conservative Party, partly because obviously, we're not having local election results all over the country due to the kind of staggered nature of local election results. It's only some parts of the country. And so the Conservative Party is already holding on to or already suffered quite a few defeats from the last time these particular council seats were held. So I think it's going to be quite difficult for the Labour Party to really kind of crush the Conservative Party in a way that we perhaps seen in other local elections. But I think it's going to be quite important for both Rishi Sunak's premiership, but also the kind of momentum that the Labour Party seeks to maintain going to the next election, as well as other smaller parties such as the Liberal Democrats, as well as the Green Party.